All right, good morning. Today is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. I'm Anthony, and this is Drive Dive. So yesterday I was talking about the robots and how the robots are coming, and I shared a little bit of my experience with using robotics, robots at home. The floor cleaner, pool cleaner, and now a lawnmower. But then, maybe my phone's listening, and AI and algorithms and whatnot. Kind of reading more about, more about robotics and the U.S. economy versus, what's going on in China and how they've automated a lot of their, production processes. But apparently, I guess the manufacturing going on there is like more consumer goods and things, and maybe doesn't require as high a level of technical training as some of the manufacturing that's going on in the United States, which I guess this article said was maybe more about like building airplanes and such that would require a much more higher level of technical training. So it's just interesting thinking about the capabilities of AI and robotics and what it can do, what it can't do, where are humans still needed, when will it eventually sort of take over, right? I mean, if you still need a lot of trained human workers to build an airplane, if in fact that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I got to dive a little deeper maybe. I guess how long is that sort of a safe field to go into? I know a couple of kids. Yeah, I had a few students talk to me about that, where they had a family member who worked on airplanes. Like that was their job. They didn't fly, but a lot of repair work and maintenance work. And seeing that as a viable career option. But how long before that sort of gets taken over? And so those are things to try to reflect on, I think, as we're evaluating technology. Are the limitations of it, right? I mean, I'm seeing other headlines where it's like recent grads are saying that they started studying in a particular field. Now they come out, they graduated, and AI's already taken some of the jobs. They're struggling to find jobs in their chosen field because of the advent of AI. Taking over a lot of tasks, automating a lot of those things. You no longer need educated humans to tackle those jobs, fill those roles. So, I don't know what the answer is, right? But thinking about using a robot to cut my grass, right? I mean, I've also read articles over the years about applications in agriculture and how rather than spreading, I'll say an herbicide or pesticide, over acres and acres and acres, that a robot roaming these fields using, I guess, artificial intelligence and cameras to identify maybe certain species, whether bugs, insects, right, animals, or specific types of weeds, then having a robotic arm or something to maybe just yank that weed, right? Just get it right out of the ground on the spot. And then it's not as labor intensive for humans. And that sounds cool, because then, maybe, right, you have increased crop sizes and such, to better feed your population. But again, it's like, what does that mean for the laborers that were out there in those fields, right? What does it mean for, the landowners and farmers, right? Do we now not need as many of them, right? And I don't understand the economics of all of that, right? Like, who owns the land versus who works the land, and right, are they one and the same or not so much, right? Within industrial farming, I guess, agriculture, are you hiring lay people to work the fields, and then once robots are able to take over, what happens to those people working the fields, and what kind of work are they then able to get at that point? How does it all work, right? And I mean, let's go a higher level with it, where in education, right, there are plenty of websites and things out there like a Khan Academy, or even now there's a lot of, right, standardized testing is often adaptive. Answer some questions correctly, we throw some harder ones at you, right? Are programs like that able to teach students? Can those programs teach students mathematics. I mean, that's what I do as a profession, right? I mean, between things like photomath and maybe ChatGPT and such, like, okay, we can get these programs, software to do mathematics for us, and then, right, I can copy down the solution or whatever. But can those tools yet teach children mathematics? Can they diagnose a student's misunderstanding, right, a student's current way of thinking, to then present them with tasks to alter that thinking, tasks and explanations, that click with that child to then alter their thinking so that it's sort of correct, right, moving forward. I don't know the answer to that one and how quickly that might occur. There are, of course, all these other questions of, well, what mathematics is important to teach and etc. But is AI, artificial intelligence, at that spot yet, or how long will it take before they can, really start teaching students mathematics? And again, I don't know. It's something I worry about, right? I mean, there's a lot of like programs that I saw a headline out there about maybe some teenagers were building a program to help teachers grade faster. Right, that sounds good in theory, but if I, as a teacher, am not actually looking at my students' work, just relying on a program to grade it, well, now I am not as closely determining what I said before, what my students know, how well they know it, right? What are they thinking? How do they demonstrate their thinking, correct or not, for me to then intervene, right? And provide follow-up tasks to, shape that thinking, reshape that thinking. So one, I'm not at the point, and that's where I can be dismissive of AI and just say, like, no, like, it's wrong, like, we shouldn't be using it. But maybe at some point, AI does get there where it's able to not just grade the work and say, right or wrong, right? Look at the work. Photomath says it should look like this. Well, it doesn't, and therefore, points are taken off, or, right? Oh, I mean, that brings up a whole other thing, partial credit and all. How is AI and these, automated graders that may or may not exist. I haven't tried or looked at any of them. How's it determining whether, it's a 5-point question and this work receives, 4 of the 5, 3 of the 5, and so on. Right? I don't know that it's there yet. Maybe it is. Do I want it there? Personally, no. Right? For a lot of those reasons, I just don't have that faith in AI to really diagnose a child's thinking. Or to build that relationship with the kid, right? I mean, if all these, if in time, writing instructors, reading instructors, arithmetic, instructors, get replaced by computers, like who's talking to the child, who's trying to figure out, how that kid feels and whether or not they're ready, to learn in any given moment. So it's just interesting for me, but I guess I want to put that out there to, for folks to kind of reflect on AI and what it might mean for their chosen field. Now, I mean, there are other things to think about too, right? Where I was wondering about homes and how they're built, and if AI is coming after certain like construction jobs, right? Robotics are coming after certain construction jobs. I'm trying to say that there are limitations, right? I think it said somewhere, I'm talking about like a robot lawnmower where, okay, it's cutting the grass, but now after the fact, like a human would have to come in to just kind of put those like finishing touches, right? I mean, that is a limitation just yet, on the robotics. And so it's like, do you wait for the robots and the AI to get to a point where they are moving past those limitations, or do we just change the way things are done to meet the capabilities of the robots, right? So current home construction done by humans may not be able to be completed 100% perfectly by current robots. Well, what if the way that homes are designed, what if that was and built, what if that were then reimagined to match the capabilities of the robot? Well, now the robot can do it to its fullest, as well as it's supposed to be, right? As well as it's designed to be constructed, right? I mean, you can reimagine some of those things. But again, it's, where do then humans fit, right? And where do they go? What do they do? And so it even reminds me of like certain science fiction movies I watched, like what was it called, like Subservience or something, random movie on Netflix about exactly this. I think where there were humanoid robots, right? More I think you'd call them android-ish, right? That were working these construction jobs, and that's I remember in the movie somebody saying that, like, they don't get tired, they don't complain, right? They just work around the clock, and and they get the job done efficiently. And maybe there was one person kind of overseeing it, but that was it. You needed one human to be able to oversee and report, and but again, a lot of workers in that instance were just replaced. And yeah, what happens? Where do they go? So I don't know. The robots are coming. They're here. I saw another article about robots being built and programmed to run marathons, and I think a follow-up one was that maybe they, after a certain distance or something, started breaking down, a little too much wear and tear on them. They weren't up to the task just yet, right? But even as you read about, Elon Musk and SpaceX and some of the failures that might occur along the way, there's so much data collected in those failures in every moment that leads up to whatever explosion in the sky, right? Same, I imagine, with these running robots. There's so much data collected that sooner or later they're going to get it right. And not to be so apocalyptic and whatnot, but it's like, at what point are we okay, now right, they've run sprints, or you see videos with humanoid robots, doing backflips and martial arts and things of that nature, and then sprinting and now running longer distances. Like, at what point are they, I don't know, carrying weapons, right? And so it's another race, another arms race, and there's a lot out there about rare earth minerals, right, and tariffs and trade wars, and that's a big topic of discussion with Ukraine and Russia and China. Who has access to these rare earth minerals that are so critical for robotics? It's just wild, right? Thinking about the world and what's happening in it. But yeah, robots, man, robots, crazy ravings and thoughts on my mind right now. But yeah, hopefully that's some interesting content for you, some food for thought as I drive to work. Yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah, I don't know, have some fun, leave some comments down below, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good one.